Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. There's even a brand new Brigadier General tier where you can get a shout out on a Commander's Quarters episode that's dedicated to you. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. First up, a huge thank you to Eddie for all the great discussions around spoilers during this spoiler season. And of course, if I make any mistakes on this episode or any other episode, always make sure you blame Eddie. But another day of spoiler season is coming to a close, and what a day it has been. If you didn't see my earliest episode on Lear, Disciple of the Drowned, make sure you check that one up because, yeah, there's a reason that I was up early for this one. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you check it out to see just how busted Lear is. Also, if you haven't seen my episode on Vadrik, make sure you check that one out too. Vadrik is all about getting more and more powerful and casting the biggest spells that you have ever seen. And also make sure you check out my most recent episode on Teferi Who Slows the Sunset. And wait, is that a Seedborn Muse Planeswalker? Make sure you check that episode to find out exactly what I'm talking about. Regardless, this episode's on a very different card with Sigardas Splendor, and although this card just came out this morning, it is already being way overrated. So let's jump into the episode and talk about why that is. So let's go over the card first, and then I will explain why I believe this card is being way overrated currently. Sigardas Splendor is an enchantment for 2 white. As it enters the battlefield, you note your life total. Apparently, WotC believes that mono-white players must be accountants, and they like keeping track of numbers. Maybe they've got some data on this. I don't know. Regardless, at the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card if your life total is greater than or equal to the last noted life total for Sigardas Splendor. Then note your life total. And whenever you cast a white spell, you gain 1 life. So one thing real quick about this card, when I woke up this morning and first saw it, I actually never really planned on making an episode about it. Because this card is nowhere near the solution to mono white's card draw issues. I mean, it's not even close. This card is not good. It's a 4-mana enchantment with very conditional card draw. So yeah, like I said, not good. Now, are there specific decks that will like to run this card? Yes, but that's the case for a lot of other just generally bad cards in Magic too. Certain cards might be terrible in general, but really good in a certain deck. But in my opinion, again, this is not the solution to mono white's card draw issues, and it is nowhere near a staple, even for just mono white decks. And as many of you know, mono white decks are extremely desperate when it comes to card draw, but not desperate enough to need this card. If you're not convinced, let's talk about why. Essentially, in order to get that card draw at the beginning of your upkeep, you need to have a life total that is equal to or greater than your previous life total last turn, or specifically at the start of your last turn. Now, yes, this does give you a way to gain life, because whenever you cast a white spell, you gain 1 life. Woo! Talk about overpowered. How's anyone gonna stop you with this card? Sorry, okay, yeah. I'll stop. So in your typical mono-white deck, you might be able to gain a few life with this in a single turn. Mono-white decks aren't exactly known for storming off with a bunch of white spells. So say from this enchantment you gain 2 or 3 life. Now after you pass your turn, you've got to go all the way around the table and come all the way back to your upkeep and have your life total stay higher than it was previously when your last turn started. So if anyone damages you in the slightest, you're probably not getting that card draw. And this could even make you into a target to be attacked. If someone's deciding between 2 players and who to attack with similar positions on the board, well, they might just attack you so you don't get to draw your card next turn. Again, if it's a coin flip decision either way, it's probably the right call. Now, if your mono white deck is a life gain deck, obviously this card could work more effectively in it. If you've got a lot more ways to guarantee that you can gain a good amount of life and keep your life total up higher than it previously was, great. This is still conditional draw, but you are more likely to draw that card on your upkeep each turn. On top of that, obviously that part where whenever you cast a white spell you gain 1 life can synergize with your deck as well. But again, this is not the answer to mono-white decks in general needing card draw. This should not just be thrown into every single mono-white deck, and if you do so and you don't have other life gain synergies, this card's going to disappoint. Your card draw with this is not going to be consistent, and you very well might be depending on it to be. I mean, recently we've seen other flops in the mono-white card draw department, and this isn't going to be any different. I mean, Cosmos Elixir sees almost no play in just 1% of decks, and yeah, that's probably exactly where it should be. It says at the beginning of your end step, draw a card if your life total is greater than your starting life total, otherwise you gain 2 life. So yeah, again, for life gain-centric decks that might need a card like this, sure, run it. The exact same thing is true for Sigardas Splendor. I mean, even Secret Rendezvous, a card that people laughed at back in Strixhaven, in my opinion, is much better than Sigardas Splendor. I would be much happier in a mono-white deck to run Secret Rendezvous than Sigardas Splendor or Cosmos Elixir. Yeah, Secret Rendezvous says you and target opponent each draw 3 cards, and it costs 1 white. I mean, at least with this card you can politic. Conversely, with Sigardas Splendor, someone might attack you just so you can't draw a card again just because they can. So yeah, if Secret Rendezvous is a better option, then yeah, Sigardas Splendor is not great. Or again, I do want to specify, not great outside of very specific decks that have life gain synergies too, okay? So what kinds of commanders might want to consider Sigardas Splendor? First up, how about Heliod Suncrown? Heliod Suncrown says whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control. So yeah, now when you cast your white spells, you gain life and put counters on this, and you've got other ways to gain life, so sure, you can draw some cards with Sigardas Splendor. Now, when I do bring up this commander, though, I do want to mention that Heliod can be built in a combo, more competitive way, so yeah, that deck's probably most definitely not going to be considering Sigardas Splendor. But a more casual build that's not focused on the combo might. Next up, how about Linden the Steadfast Queen, another mono-white commander that cares about life gain. She has whenever a white creature you control attacks, you gain 1 life. So yeah, this kind of a deck's going to have a lot of life gain synergies, and when you swing out with a lot of white creatures, you're going to be gaining a lot of life. And hopefully your life total stays up above what it previously was, so you can draw some cards. Next up, another card that's not mono-white, but still might want to consider this card, is Trelasara Moon Dancer. She's an elf cleric for green-white, and she has, whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on Trelasara Moon Dancer and scry 1. So with Sigardas Splendor in play, basically when you cast a white spell, you also get a counter on this, and you scry 1 on top of that life that you gained. So yeah, it can synergize well with this commander, and again, you probably have a lot of other ways to gain life, so you can probably keep your life total up high enough to draw that card. And then how about Lathiel the Bounteous Dawn? Lathiel says at the beginning of each end step, if you gain life this turn, distribute up to that many +1 counters among any number of other target creatures. Again, you're going to have a lot of life gain synergies with this commander, so you might be able to keep your life total up high enough for that card draw, and gaining life can get you extra counters. And speaking of extra counters and life gain, let's finally talk about Karlov of the Ghost Council. Karlov has, whenever you gain life, put 2 counters on Karlov of the Ghost Council. And by paying white-black and removing 6 counters from Karlov, you exile target creature. So now every single one of your white spells is going to get 2 extra counters on this commander. And obviously by growing Karlov, you can deter your opponents from actually attacking you and lowering your life total because Karlov's going to get bigger, and also you can just pay and remove some counters to exile a creature. But now it's time for me to wrap things up and give you my final thoughts on Sigardas Splendor. As I've mentioned multiple times in this episode, and you probably noticed in the description, the title, and the thumbnail, I believe this card is already very overrated. It is not the solution to every single mono-white deck's card draw issues, and it should not be going in every single mono-white deck. It should be going in decks that have life gain synergies, and yes, there are mono-white decks out there that do that. But overall, this card is very underwhelming, and it's going to underperform for a lot of decks out there. And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again, and have a good one.